Hey, welcome back to Return to Self with myself, Tanya Ray Bethune. Hope to find you well today. Hope that you are having a blessed day. I want to talk to you today about stop fighting for permission just to be yourself. I want to talk about something that many people experience, but don't always have the words to explain. There comes a point in your healing journey where you realize you are exhausted, not exhausted from life, you're not exhausted from work, and you're not exhausted from serving others, but you're exhausted from constantly feeling like you have to defend who you are. You're exhausted from explaining yourself. You're exhausted from proving yourself. You're exhausted from trying to get people to understand you. And you're exhausted from fighting for permission to simply be yourself. See, many of us have spent years shrinking ourselves to make other people comfortable. We learn to stay quiet when we want to speak. We learn to ignore our feelings when we wanted to express them. We learn to change ourselves so we can be accepted. But somewhere along the way, we lost ourselves. One of the greatest lessons I've learned is that there is a difference between growth and control. Growth says there are areas in my life where I can learn, heal, mature, and become better. Control says you need to become who I want you to be. But growth allows me to remain myself while becoming better. Control requires me to stop being myself altogether. And many of us are exhausted because they are constantly being told what they should be, how they should act, what they should wear, how they should think, and how they should show up in the world. That message becomes you're not enough as you are. But today I want to remind you of something. You do not need permission to be the person God created you to be. You do not need permission to have a voice. You do not need permission to have thoughts, opinions, feelings, dreams, or boundaries. You don't need permission to exist as yourself. Now, hear me clearly when I say this. I'm not talking about refusing correction. I'm not talking about becoming prideful. I'm not talking about rejection, uh, growth. I'm talking about refusing to abandon yourself just to gain acceptance. Because the truth is, if someone is determined to find fault, they will always find something. Your voice will be too much. Your silence will be too much. Your confidence will be too much. Something will always be wrong. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your life chasing approval that was never yours to earn. See, the journey back to yourself requires courage. It requires you to stop asking people for permission to be who God already called you to be. It requires you to stop apologizing for taking up space. And it requires you to trust God's opinion of you more than the opinion of others. What I'm learning is this. I am willing to grow, willing to learn, willing to be corrected when I'm wrong, but I am no longer willing to lose myself trying to become someone else version of who they think I should be. I fought too long and too hard to get to this place. And maybe that's where some of you are today. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're exhausted. Maybe you realize that you spent years trying to convince people to accept you. Today, I want you to be encouraged and to stop fighting for permission to be yourself. Let people feel how they feel. Let people have their opinion. Let people disagree, but don't abandon yourself. Amen. So I want you to continue to have a blessed day and stop fighting for permission just to be yourself. God bless. Have a wonderful day.